This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
Another Star Wars podcast presents We Have Spoken, aka Transforming into Bob, or the Book of Boba Fett. Welcome to Bob. We're back. Sean, Mike, and Damien going to bring every episode to you, all 7 of them, to your eardrums, to your eyesight. New this season, we're going to bring this podcast to video. Check out YouTube at Another Star Wars channel. You can find all the links at bio.link/extra techie. Make sure you follow Extra Techie on all the socials. Check out the bio.link for all of the relevant links. And of course, make sure you follow Mike and Damien on the socials if you choose. Check out Casa de Dupree, an up-and-coming channel about all sorts of things nerdy. Damien does a good job, but enough about that. We're here to tackle the Book of Boba Fett, a Disney Plus series veering off from the Mandoverse and hopefully coming back to it as we patiently await Mandalorian Season 3. Listen up as we tackle each episode, talk hot takes, and of course, give you our one-sentence summary. Sit back, relax, grab a drink, and let's do this thing. We have a bounty hunter to catch up with, and from what I hear, he's pretty legendary. Welcome back, everybody. It is January 20th, 2022, and welcome back to another Star Wars podcast, aka We Have Spoken, aka We Have Bob, aka the Book of Boba Fett. As always, we are joined by the 2 best people in the galaxy, and they are going to carry the load tonight because we've had some family things go down in the past few days, so I've only had an opportunity to watch the episode one time. So I asked my 2 experts in the field to carry a lot of the conversation tonight. And then I'm just going to quip like I usually do. So really, my analysis will not change because I don't do a lot of work. But we've got Damien, we've got Mike. We're ready to rock and roll. We hope you have been able to listen to Chapter 3, Chapter 2, Chapter 1, and the prequel. Make sure you go check that out on Anchor or Spotify. And if you go on Spotify, you might as well subscribe to us there. And then you might as well subscribe to us on YouTube. And then go subscribe to Casa de Dupree. Okay? And then send Mike like a subscription box to like a whiskey thing. I think that'd be fun.
Bespoke.
It has to be now, for sure. So we are the We Have Spoken crew. We are talking about the Book of Boba Fett like everybody else. And we're happy to bring this content to you both on YouTube and in podcast format. So our overall impressions, we jump right into this nonsense. Okay, our overall impressions. Mike, I'm going to throw it to you first. You weren't too happy on the Instagrams. Okay, so spoiler-free overall impressions before we dive in.
I feel like this series so far has just been meh. And I said it to you too. I said, it's tough to go through the rewatches. Like, I struggle to go through the rewatches. Where with Mando, I was excited to go through the rewatches. So just overall, still meh, holding out hope.
I can feel that. And if you hear any background noises, that's my little puppy chewing on her bone and being a little puppy. So ignore those noises. I'll try to mute out as much as possible. Damien, you watch this show, I hear.
Yeah.
You've got two or three watches in. Tell me about it. What's going on?
I think this one was better than last week by far. And there's my dog. But I think that this to me was more what we were expecting from the show versus all of the backstory that we got. And granted, we still did get backstory, but I think this was more along the lines of what we were looking for from the show to begin with. So I was pleased.
Fair
I was
assessment.
pleased with it. I like this chapter.
Yeah, fair.
Probably the most so far out of all of them.
Fair assessment. And I have got one watch in on day of Wednesday, and it's a fragmented watch where I watched 30 minutes of it in the morning and then 15 minutes of it nearly 11 hours later. So I've got a huge gap, and I was trying to remember some things. But what I do remember is that I really liked the episode, and I think I'm feeding off the hate from Twitter. People are taking the show too seriously, and I think everybody's got to dial it back a little bit and kind of just enjoy it for what it is. You know, WandaVision started out real wacky dacky, and then got really good. I'm not trying to compare it's apples to oranges, but I think I've said this before, there's a perception of Boba Fett that is not consistent with what you've read in the past. And people are having trouble sort of changing that identity, but that's okay. So now let's dive into it. I'm going to pass the baton to Damien, who's going to give us a brief episode recap, and it's going to help us all out. So if you haven't watched the episode multiple times, here's your chance to sit back and listen.
All right. So basically, this chapter gets started off with Boba after all the Tusken Raiders are taken out by the Nikto gang, and he's just riding on his bantha. We see this bright flash in the background. He finds Fennec Shand. So we know that we're getting the whole backstory of how him and Fennec met, how he rescued her, what they did to her with the mod gang, like modifying her torso and giving her literally abs of steel. And then her partnering with him to get back his, not Slave One, but the class of ship that it is, which is the Fire Spray ship, or Fire Spray gunship. So they get that back from Jabba's palace. He wants to go back to the Sarlacc pit and get his armor, which is just, in my opinion, a terrible idea, but he still does it. Really cool scene there. Lots of stuff that I'll be talking about later on in the episode. Doesn't find the armor. He decides that he wants to take the throne. He's tired of being a bounty hunter. He's trying to recruit her for this. She's not too certain about it, but that's pretty much where they left off with him and her getting ready to take over the throne. Bring us back to present time. He goes into the Casino Royale. We get a really cool scene with Black Curtan just decimating some Trandonians. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Trandoshians.
Trandoshans. Frog-like
those
alligator
guys are
people.
up like 500 by midnight at the casino table there. He goes over just like knuckle duster, just defeating them, drunk as all hell, doing his thing. I love the callback that we get to A New Hope. I'll put that in my noticements later. He obviously needs a job. Boba sees this, brings him on, which is something that I predicted a little bit earlier, and I'm really glad that we're going to get those guys together. Then Boba decides, hey, we have this war coming on. We need an army. Do we have enough credits? We got plenty of credits. Let's go buy ourselves some bodies, and that's it. But we hear a very familiar song at the end of the episode, which has a lot of people hyped, but I'm kind of hoping that what they're hinting at doesn't happen, but we'll get into that later. Dank Fairy.
I love the recap. Thank you so much. I was able to write down some noticements as I was going because I was remembering what was happening. So thanks for that recap. And you know, there's again when you hear it back in that short, concise nature, it feels like a very good episode. Mm-hmm. You know, not quite a lot of progress in the main present storyline, right, but I think that's okay. This show is self-identified as we are going to spend some time in the past, and we're going to spend a little time in the present. But you could say that there will be no longer any past shots. Right? Would we agree to that at this point?
It definitely seemed like they put the cap on that bottle. They're like, yeah, this one's done. We're good.
So that's very interesting. I don't know, like Lost was a show that followed the formula. Law and Order is a show that follows the formula. Even How I Met Your Mother followed the formula. Yeah. Seinfeld followed a formula. Mm-hmm. This is now changing the formula mid-show. where again, this is our assumption that they're committing themselves to a 30 to 40 minute episode of present time progress.
Finally.
So, whoa, Jinx, buy me a Coke. You know,
I got the numbers. I got the numbers if you want them.
This is actually a great segue to that. Please give us the numbers.
So it was usually Tuscan time. Instead of TT, it's FT for Fennec time.
Fair.
So present time, the total runtime of the episode was 42 minutes, 10 seconds. Present time was let's start with Fennec.
Hold on. Fennec time.
Fennec time. Let's start with Fennec time.
Fennec Standard Time, FST.
This is more confusing than BBY before the Battle of Yavin and the new timeline that Disney has created. Okay, go.
So Fennec time was 31 minutes, 2 seconds. Present time was 11 minutes, 8 seconds.
That felt very accurate.
So here's the percentages. And here's the crazy thing. I had to go back to my other notes to look at, after I looked at the percentages, I was like, this has to be the top of like flashback time. This has to be the most percentage of flashback time. It wasn't.
It felt like it. It really
felt
like it.
Fennec time was 73.6% of the episode. Present time 26.4%. And I had to go back and look at my notes from the streets of Mos Vespa. Tuscan time. Oh no, I'm sorry. Wait. That I had that reversed. I think this is the most flashback time.
Okay.
Yes. It is. Because the most before that was the Tribes of Tatooine.
Sure.
Where Tuscan time was 70.8 and present was 29.5.
Huh.
So this has been the most flashbacked episode of the 4. And I think that Favreau, as the writer, did that little wink and did that little, see, guys, we're done with the flashbacks now, after he got out of the Bacta tank and the little droid came over. You are now fully healed.
It's just like as obvious.
Rosie from the Jetsons making an announcement.
It was almost like Favreau knew the fans were going to complain about the flashback length, and he's like, "Here you go, nerds! Like, we're done now."
This is all fabricated. It's all fabricated. Thank you. And I don't care about I am good with the story that they're telling in the format that they're telling, because I didn't sit in that writer's room. I'm telling you, they sit down and they go, okay, they're going to hate this, but we're going to push through, just like with Mando with the filler episodes. And every once in a while, the TikTok video, it's a YouTube video, but a TikTok video shows up and it's like, oh no, the village lost its milk. We have to get the milk. And then it's Mando, and he goes, we don't like your kind, Mando. And he goes, but if you kill this monster, we'll give you the milk. And then you get the milk, and then, oh no, baby Grogu has drank the milk. We'll have to go to the next town. It's the same argument over and over again. But I guess where I guess maybe the problems people are having is the cheese, the cheddar, the cheesy cheddar of the show. And again, like, if you're a baseball guy and you go 0 for 4, you're in a slump. I think they're doing this on purpose. I think the cheese is there on purpose. I think they're purposely writing lines in that people are going,
it feels too much like an 80s sitcom. Like I need instead of Ludwig's music, I need someone to go over it with like laugh tracks and awes, especially because there's one scene, I'm going to bring it up now. I don't care. There's one scene where there was a pause after something was said that was like, there should be a laugh track here. When Fennec drops the seismic charge, and Boba looks over at her, and he just says, "Don't push my buttons." Like, I was waiting for a laugh track, and then like the Seinfeld like bo ba bo music to pop on.
That was
it's
bad.
It was
bad.
really bad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was
well.
super cringe.
What are you gonna do?
It was just like, really? Like, come on. Don't push my button.
Yeah.
Well, what were you doing? You were just trying to fire aimlessly at a Sarlacc. Like, come on, man. Let's go.
Into
At
the
least
sand,
she
which-
did something.
Wasn't that Sarlacc dead? He fired through it.
That's something that was a question I had too. Because like,
Was it a new Sarlacc? Like,
Not
that
likely.
just inhabited the
Like I was
pit?
okay with the Sarlacc still being alive, because you got to think it's a rooted sort of being. You know, I think of like the monster in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, big squid like monster. Even Drax can't cut through it.
Mhm.
You know, and that's just whatever. Like I found that believable, and I enjoyed the shout out to the special editions
Oh yeah.
of Return of the Jedi. You know, just to kind of little fu to the fanboys that enjoy the originals. But anywho's top threes, everybody.
Yeesh.
Top threes. Let's think about it. I'll start with, I really liked the mod gang scene after being reminded of it in the recap. I love the idea of like cybernetics and normal people trying to cyber up, and it sort of kind of makes sense as to why Good Lord, that's terrible. He is a Mandalorian. I mean, I'm not wrong, but it's kind of like, all right, Bob, our friend Boba here has a little soft spot for modders because they helped him out.
Right.
You know, back in the day, we could say back in the day. So that kind of makes sense. And I wonder if there's a little relationship with that. I like that it was in Mos Eisley. I like that it was like an underground, like tattoo parlor sort of thing. And it was all kind of freaky. Like it was out of place, but I liked it. Like Eiffel 65 should have been playing in the background. Like that's where I'm at with that. And I love that so much. So it's weird. And probably a lot of people didn't like that because it's not Star Wars enough. But I think the more weird it is, better for me. I like the mod gang.
So I have a business proposal for both of you. We open up a tattoo parlor on Tatooine and we call it Tattoo-ine. Spelled TATTOOINE.
Oh my god.
Or tattoo me.
That's
I don't know how we would spell it. We'll figure it out. But
We'll figure it out. We got time.
Indeed.
The mod squad kind of grew on me a little bit, or at least I liked them a little bit more this week. And like looking into like mod culture in like England and stuff too, like everything was Vespas and bright and like fashionable. And I don't know, was the girl from chapter 3 the same girl that was getting her neck modified in chapter 4?
See, that's the kind of
I don't think so.
Because
I don't think it was.
Now casting my mind back to chapter 3, when Boba takes his helmet off, the girl like looked at him like she recognized him. So I wasn't sure if maybe she was the one in the chair when they walk in at first, and then she's like, "Oh, that's the guy who dropped all this cash on getting this chick fixed up," because Fennec had her helmet on still. So I didn't know if that was the same person or not. But
interesting.
Something I had to go back. I mean, I can't go back. I can't watch it again, but I watched it 3 times already. But it's
I'll watch it again for you, and I'll report back.
There we go. That works.
I do feel like that they're trying to go a little too Gen Z with certain things. Like I mean, I guess they kind of have to, because they know that Star Wars fans are going to watch it, and they have to broaden their horizon. I guess Star Wars realizes that they fell behind Marvel, I think.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we need to broaden our horizon. So I get why they're doing it, but, the Vespa crew and, this, like, I'm too cool tattoo parlor with the techno music, I think they're trying a little too hard with it. Sean, I'm with you. I like the culture of it. I like the scene. I loved his cool little tool droid hand.
Yeah.
But I think they are trying a little too hard to appeal to that audience.
Yeah, I can feel that. I also realize that, you know, I think I saw the same people at Frankfurt Hall during one of your parties down in
Exactly.
it's the same as that crowd.
They just
But
need
I like that. I like that it's not appealing to the same Star Wars fan out there. It's just not. And that's uncomfortable for some people. It's not uncomfortable for me. I hung out with a lot of different types of people in high school. I was a sports person. I played Pokemon cards. I played video games. I played ice hockey. Like, that's a weird combination of things. And I hung out with a lot of different people, and I was cool with that. So, like, I didn't find it to be strange at all, but I can understand that, yeah, the identity of it it's definitely forced. Political correctness has always been in these Star Wars stories, and it has evolved over time. And 1987 is a long time ago. And today is today, and people are still some still living back in that past. So, let the past die. Dames, I throw it to you.
Yeah, so number 3 for me was the whole Sarlacc scene. Robert Rodriguez has done like some stuff that has horror elements in it, and that whole jump scare of the Sarlacc popping out was really, really cool. I mean, you knew it was going to happen because they're just focused way too long on that shot. So you kind of see it pop out, and then boom, just jumps right out at you. So I really like that a lot. And like you said, they redeemed the added in special edition Sarlacc from the, I think the 90s, right? When they put that in there, special edition
97.
So when they
97.
did that, it redeemed it for me. It looked more realistic than it did back then, obviously, given the times and technology. And I really like the horror aspect of that, and him just drop it. I love the sound of that explosion. Just the
oh
no!
Hold
dulls
on
down real quick.
Second.
So that was really cool, and I like that. That was my third for sure.
I like. You know what? Let me let me follow up with you. And I think everybody thought the Sarlacc was dead, like we discussed a little bit earlier. So we're going all right, well, he's going to get in there and maybe he'll be able to find it without a problem. And what's crazy, right? People who watched Mando know that the armor's not there, right? So they're telling a story that is not true unless this is the first thing you've watched, right? So isn't that interesting where they could have spent that time progressing the story a little bit more instead of going back to the Sarlacc pit? But at the same time, we have to put ourselves into Boba's mind. Of course, that's the first place he's going to look. Yep. He doesn't remember. The only thing he remembers is waking up and it was gone. So then he had a black melon. So, I like that he went back. I like that the Sarlacc was still alive, and I enjoyed that scene very much. And I still don't understand how his ship flies. But it's Star Wars, so we'll allow it.
I didn't understand how it was like this hovering over, and somehow the jets are pushing it down, but it somehow rose up. I'm like, okay.
What's going on here? There's no front jets.
How are they not leaning forward and just everything's like this?
Well, I mean, they did show it when Fennec sort of released herself. She flew forward to the I guess the window area, but. Now, taking a look at this very realistic Boba Fett Starship model, I don't see any front propulsion jets, and with gravity, I don't think that ship would have actually stood a chance. And also getting pulled toward the sands
lazy writing
of Tatooine. Michael,
I only had 2 main highlights, and I'm just going to go into it. She's my girl. Fennec, the star of the episode. This absolute star. She just rocks. So she is the one who develops the plan for retrieving the ship. She is the one who takes out literally every single guard in Jabba's palace. She is the one who releases the seismic charge. She is the one that shoots the bonk droid that blows everybody up in Jabba's palace.
R.I.P.
She is the one that is running the meeting with all the crime lords. And there's two really cool moments that I thought. Well, one is just a really cool shot that I thought was really well done. Is when Fire Spray was closing the hatch, and you see her kind of squinting, and it looks exactly like her helmet as she's peeping through when she shoots the little that little weight to open the gate.
Okay.
Wow.
That I saw the first time I watched that, I was like, wow, that is a really cool shot. Don't know where her helmet is, but that shot was really cool. Don't know where her helmet is. Maybe we'll get a flashback for her finding her helmet, because she had her helmet when she was discovered. Didn't have it any other time throughout the flashback. That neither here nor there. That shot was really cool. The other thing that I kind of noticed was that when they go through and destroy the speeder bike gang, Boba kind of looks over at her and like gives her a nod of like, did you like what I did? I still think she's the one calling the shots. Everything points to her being the one that's in charge. She's the one that's like, hey, we should do this. And Boba says, yeah, let's do that. She's the one that says, that's leading the charge in literally everything. And Boba just goes along with it. I think it's setting up for a heel turn where she's saying, like, I've been the one doing all of it. I'm going into like later down the line predictions earlier, but it still seems like there's going to be a heel turn just off the fact of she's the one running the show, and she's probably going to get tired of it.
I definitely, the more you say that week in and week out, I completely see it. Like, even when he gets out of the back to tank, he like suits up and he's getting ready to go to Mos Espa. Like, she gives him like this little like sneering look as he's leaving, and I'm like, they're planting little teeny tiny seeds, and maybe that's just like a red herring. Like, they want us to think that it's gonna happen, and maybe it won't.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're setting it up, and even like their fireside chat where she's just like, "No, I don't want to join a family. I don't want to be part of that. Like, I'm good." Maybe that was just her thinking the whole time, and she just went along for the ride for credits or whatever she could. But I mean, the more you say it week in and week out, and the more I pay attention to her and her mannerisms and her verbiage and stuff throughout the chapters, it makes a lot of sense.
And the other thing she says is that after I help you get your ship back, my life debt is paid.
Mm-hmm.
So anything goes now at this point.
Yeah, there's an honor code, and this story is being fabricated. It is, and I think whatever we're thinking is what he wants us to think. And then it's not going to be that way. Does Boba Fett survive the series?
Yes. I don't think they would give us so much backstory for him if he wasn't going to survive. Like, I think, and if he didn't survive, like, imagine how much people are complaining right now. If they like killed Boba Fett off in this show, people would lose their minds. Twitter would just be like, "Oh, I'm canceling Disney Plus. That's it. Kathleen Kennedy needs to go. Jon Favreau needs to go." So yeah, I can't see that happening, and I don't want to see it happen either.
Boba Fett present during the sequel trilogy?
Oh,
are there stories for Boba Fett in the sequel trilogy era? 30 years later, back to tanks aren't that good.
Yeah. Oh well, they'd have
Just
to
a thought.
jump forward pretty far with him then. But the aging thing with clones, like it's not
Yeah.
that big of a deal. It'd be cool to see him show up in Lando
Hmm.
because they have a little bit of history.
Has Lando
Writing down.
even been officially announced?
They showed a graphic for it, I thought, right?
A graphic,
But
yeah, a graphic.
That doesn't necessarily
But they
mean
also-
it's going to happen.
Yeah, they also announced a Patty Jenkins movie, which was then canceled, which was then reinstated. No one really knows what's going on.
Same thing.
What's interesting?
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
Same
ahead.
thing with the Game of Thrones guys. They were, they rushed through the last season because they were like, we got this Star Wars trilogy to make, and then they're like, no, we're not doing it anymore. Oh, okay, great.
And to add on to the turmoil, I've shared a memory out on my Facebook account that says Episode 8 has been delayed to December. Right? So today, January 20th, many years ago, started the Star Wars turmoil. Upon the first delay of the major movie, that's where it sort of turned. Interesting. Well, thank you. Thank you for adding that. We've all been waiting for the Boba Fett that we all allegedly know. So him lighting the sky up with that swoop gang, bearing down on them, is something that I really remembered from the episode, so I'm going to highlight it. But it's just something that I found it to be very satisfying. Him, just firing away. Loved it. The Nikto gang didn't stand one chance with that. Also, where do you get fuel for the fire spray?
Maybe it was fueled up there. Like he had a full tank or something.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of. I have no idea.
What a terrible place to park, too.
Bib kept it ready to go.
He sure did. I mean, how many years are we talking about?
So,
5 years, right?
yeah.
He drove it to church on Sundays.
Yeah, that's true. That's
All
true.
those years ago.
It's a bit
it's only
rusty.
been 5, dude. Come on.
It's a bit rusty. Ship still works. Okay. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I don't really have much else to say except that was a very nice action sequence and something that we've been looking for Boba to do. Be ruthless, damn it.
Yep.
And he's going to be ruthless for his family. His family. Let me see. Let me jump it. Let me throw it back to Damien, I think.
Yeah, so that was my number 1. Just Boba, just
Apologies.
apology.
I did not mean to take
Him
your
just
number.
mowing down the Nikto gang was awesome, and like the shot of his face where he's just like vengeful and just like
a panther.
He used a missile on him. He didn't have to. He could've just,
He did.
he was
A
like, you know what?
concussion
Because
missile too.
See ya. Like boom. That was my number 1. My number 2 was BK just going ham in the casino, destroying everybody.
Going hand.
Having our favorite Twi'lek cougar come out and try and talk him out of that. And she's like, Santo, you were such a great gladiator. People would come for Kersantin in the thousands. And then she was like, well, clear your bar tab. And he's like, nope, I am still going to rip this guy's arm off.
Listen, which was a deeper cut? The arm rip off or her dress?
Ooh, that was a nice cut.
Ooh.
Speaking of bloodlust,
Listen, hold on. Let's wait, real quick. That's a very provocative outfit for a Disney
show.
series.
Yeah.
Big time. Like, I wonder if she requested that.
Maybe because she's an alien, they were like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, it's not like a human.
It was only like deep cleave was visible for like a hot second, and then it wasn't ever visible again.
Well, not
if you pause it.
I know. Well, obviously.
I mean,
I'm talking live action here.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I thought about. It was something that stuck out to me because I'm like, wow, I can't believe like the executives allowed this.
Yeah.
Sexualization in a Disney
What was kind of
property.
Reminds me of like Wanda's Halloween costume from WandaVision too. Even though that was like classic throwback comic Wanda, like that was still like a little risque for a Disney show.
Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene very much. It gives us some BK backstory, and we didn't even know it, right? And it's very, very accurate to a Wookiee's life when the Empire took over, right?
Yeah.
Because the Empire sort of allowed that type of activity, while the Old Republic did not, as we're learning in the High Republic. We did not allow slavery, but Empire did. So yeah. Mike?
I only had the two. I had
Oh, that's right. You had two.
I had Fennec and BK, and the only other thing I wanted to add about BK is that I feel like every scene he looks at someone from the side and he kind of gives the rocks people's eyebrow. Like one eyebrow goes up every time. Like his head goes down and the eyebrow goes up. And I'm like, is it the Rock under there? It is not the Rock under there.
Do we know who the actor is for him? Is it that?
Felt like we tried to look it up.
Yeah.
I did. His name's
We
like
gave up.
It's not.
His name is Carrie something.
Okay, so it's not the same guy as like Chewie then.
No.
Former Penn State.
Well, he's a
alum.
big dude. Big dude, big costume. Still looks great. Even with all the scenes he's in, I'm not noticing any flubberies. He looks great.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks incredible.
Every scene looks great.
Unlike
you
the
know, so
Gamorreans, who look hit or miss depending on what the scene is.
I was gonna say, buddy boy, we saw some Gamorreans with those traditional armors
Yeah, finally.
during the flashy backies.
Cover it up.
And I
guys.
thought to
Come on.
myself,
This is a Disney
this
Plus
is a fabrication, because he knew that they had to go in the past. So to armor them up and then armor them up, we wouldn't have known like which piggies were which. This little piggy went to the Sarlacc pit, and this little piggy went to the Rancor.
And this little piggy pledged his allegiance to Boba.
I don't often get, well, that's not true. When I get chills during a show, that often means that it's a good part. And when that Mando mother effing theme started playing at the end, I wasn't really expecting it, because I thought like Boba would be brought into Mando season 3, not the other way around. So I was genuinely surprised at the potential of them hiring out Mando to come in, to do his thing. And I know people are a little concerned that, it's going to take away from him. I don't think so. I think this is what they're setting up. It's the Mando-verse, baby. Like, if there's not crossovers, then what's the point?
Yep.
They've now, I love the back scenes of the light.
Yes.
And your boy, the guy we hate, I forget his name.
Toro.
Yeah, right. Toro. And, and I'm like, it's that scene. I love it. I love that he's there. Like now watching back Mando season 2. Yeah, Mando season 2, we're like, Boba's just right around the corner and we know it. I love that kind of stuff. And just kind of seeing where everything went, how everything's mixing together, to doing a good job. And I know, Mike, you have a noticement in terms of continuity, in terms of sunrise, sunset timing. And I don't know, did you get any clarification on that?
So I did go back to chapter 5 of season 1, the gunslinger.
Yep.
Fennec was shot at dawn by Toro. Mando discovers Fennec in broad daylight.
Okay. So
in this episode, Boba sees the little like flares go off, and that was to scramble Fennec's night vision to snipe them. It is possible that it took an entire day to get there by bantha.
Didn't Mando take a bantha to get back to town, and he left Toro, right?
Was it a bantha or was it a blurg? I don't even know.
I think it was I think they had a bantha.
I didn't notice what it was, but it was it was a large animal.
Because it took him a while.
Yeah.
To get when he came back, he's like, oh, she's dead. And then he sort of he had to hustle back to Pele, because I guess, remember when Fennec said that, he's got a bigger bounty than me, and then boom, shoots her.
Yeah.
So no. It's I know what you're saying though, because the lighting really it's confusing.
Yeah. And there's no like 3 days later.
I know. I know. I would hope that they had an index card where they said, okay, we're entering Mando territory. Let's make sure all our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted.
I
all that stuff.
would be a little upset if it comes out that it's like, oh, that was a mistake.
Starbucks cup.
Yep.
guys,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah. So all right, yeah. But I did. I'm hoping. I'm hopeful for a Mando crossover, and I'm even hopeful for my predictions, which are it's just Damien. You're just gonna get a giggle out of it. I think you're gonna love it. All right. Any other tops, Damien? Did you have any more tops? I know Mike doesn't.
Nope.
All right, cool. So let's keep going then. So now we're at the bottoms. And my only bottom, because I don't really have many details, is just the cheese is ever present in this episode. The cheese. Cheesy lines, cheesy pauses, little bit of cheesy practicals, but I'll allow it. Like ultimate cheese. And I didn't not like it, but like chasing the rabbit in the kitchen.
Oh, the Tom and Jerry scene?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Dude.
That I literally have Tom and Jerry scene.
I loved it. I hated it, but I kind of liked it because it was reminded me of Super Mario 64, trying to catch that damn rabbit in the basement for a star, and that was the worst thing to do when you're a little kid with no dexterity like me.
Did you notice the name of the rat catching droid?
No.
So I put the captions on for the second watch. Apparently, it's called a LEP droid.
LEP droid. Okay.
A LEP is a ball. A LEP is a droid.
You son of a gun! It all makes sense. It all makes sense. No, I liked the droid. I like they're bringing more droids out. I like that these droids have personalities. Like they're not just there as fodder. You know, they have all their little things. I liked General Grievous droid. I thought that was fun.
Oh,
you know,
he was great.
Little throwback, a little butchering. And of course, Fennec takes him out. So that's just add that to the list of things that Fennec did. That was awesome.
Yep.
Oh, she's so great.
I remember I sent you to the Boba Fett Nerf blaster, and Mike just sent back, notify me when it's Fennec Shan's rifle. Like, all right, just passing on information, buddy.
With the recon droid.
Yes.
Yeah, the recon droid's hot.
That thing was
Recon
awesome.
droid's hot.
And the hidden knife that she just could throw at
It
somebody.
reminded me of Red Tail from Falcon. What's
Yes.
his name? What's it?
Yep.
Is it Red Tail?
Red Wing?
Red Wing.
Red Hawk?
Red Wing.
Something like that. But yeah, that reminded me of that, which I thought was neat, cool. And imagine having, I mean, I love the layout of the building and, you know, it's doing its thing. And I thought that was really, really cool piece of tech in there. But anyways, we're talking about bottoms. So we went into a little bit of a positive there. So I think, Mike, you had 2 tops. So let's hear your 4 bottoms.
So you covered the one bottom, the Tom and Jerry scene.
Fair.
And it's technically one long bottom.
Neville?
Neville long bottom. The biggest low light of this episode and essentially the season for me has been Boba.
Whoa.
Okay. Please allow. Well, based on your Fennec argument, I can see where your bottom's going. But please go.
The way, and I guess this is the argument of the fanboy essentially.
Sure.
That this isn't Boba. Like the way they're portraying him, the way he is speaking, this isn't Boba. This isn't a crime boss. This isn't the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. They're making him look like a bumbling idiot. I mean, I guess they're trying to give him some human qualities. You know, humanize him, like blowing on food. How I cringed at him blowing on food.
I didn't notice that. What are you talking about?
When?
When?
Food.
when
when
he's
they're making
he's-
the rat.
he's just with the bantha, and it's not even long enough to cool off food. He just goes and then throws it to the bantha.
Here you go, boy.
Girl, it's a girl.
Here you go, girl. After they French kissed.
Yeah. So they're making it. They're really making it the Book of Fennec, or the Follies of Fennec.
The Book of
Hit-
Boba Fett.
Fennec
Yeah,
Files.
just his dialogue. He once again used little bugger. He tells the bantha to go make bantha babies.
There's a great meme, and it says, Mando with animals. Fuck this, get me a speeder. and the other one is, hey, little bugger.
Like, even
I know what you're saying, man. I know.
even his fight scenes. I mean, I guess it's just because he's not.
There's been a fight
as-
scene?
Yeah, like him doing anything fight wise, he's getting his ass kicked. Well, Mando also got his ass kicked too, but Mando also wasn't the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Now, people think Boba's dead. Therefore, he is no longer a feared bounty hunter because he's dead. Mando Din Djarin is the premier Mandalorian bounty hunter. It's been established in his show. So, the re-identification of Boba, although jarring, and I agree with you, kind of fits the mold of what story they're telling. Because how can you have two feared Mandalorian bounty hunters? We discussed that back in We Have Spoken, where how can you have a person wielding the same armor as Boba Fett exist at the same time?
Yep.
I think we had that conversation. And then we were anticipating like just like an awesome, team up. Turner and Hooch. But we're not getting it. That's the vibe I'm getting from you, Mike. You're not satisfied with Boba.
I'm never satisfied.
Mm.
Just like
Not even after
Eliza
Snickers.
Schuyler. Just like Eliza Schuyler and Alexander Hamilton, I will never be satisfied.
Like Andy Reid at a buffet.
You know what? That's a good point, though, Sean, because like maybe they are trying to establish Mando as the dominant bounty hunter now. I mean,
But even Fennec's more dominant than him.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
But Mando stood up to Fennec.
Yeah.
Black Chrysanthemum is more dominant than him.
That feels fair. That feels fair.
He's like not even top 5 anymore of dominance. I'm sure there's others that are going to pop up.
Dengar.
Maybe,
I mean,
maybe he finds himself. Maybe
I think we're going to get a return to form.
he puts too much trust in his little, that someone's going to betray him in that little powwow around the table. Rancor scene was great, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's fully healed too. He's fully healed now. It's been noted.
Yeah, and that might make a big difference. And I mean, is Boba like a martial artist, or is he more of a strategic bounty hunter? What is he?
He's a 61-year-old man who they're trying to preserve and not show too many action scenes.
So he's Joel Embiid.
He's Joel.
If he's Joel, he's about to drop 50 on some people in the next couple chapters.
He might.
So.
He might, but he might. So I hope he proves you wrong, Mike. I really do.
So do I.
I really do.
I think he's going. I can't see them like nerfing his abilities and like his mystique that much. So I just think he's gonna get to this point, like you just said. Someone at that table is probably gonna betray him, and then he's just gonna break bad and be like, you know what, whatever. Like you guys are dead. That's it. And he's just gonna go ahead, do his thing, completely obliterate them. And I think we're gonna get a redemption shot, or like that Boba Fett that we've always wanted to see, shot, sequence, whatever it is, at some point through the next couple chapters. So I think we have
I'd love to see a disintegration.
3 more chapters now.
Yeah, we're
3
down to
more.
3.
Okay.
I'd love to see a disintegration.
That would be awesome.
And Fennec goes, no more disintegrations. That would be fun. That would be a fun callback. But all right, Dames, do you have any outside of Boba not living up to Boba?
I mean,
any other
for me, my
bottom
bottom
feeders?
I really only had one, and it was just the corniness of the kitchen scene. Like, where do you even get cabbage or on Tatooine like that? And that guy was just super duper chopping it. I did like the little Grievous like callback. That was kind of cool. But the little chasing around the droids, like, come here. I'm like, dude, like it was bad. It was just so bad. Like, just blast him with the gaffy, like just obliterate him. Like, and then he grabbed him by the throat. I'm like, you're not choking him. He's a droid. Like, and then the droid just turns himself off. I'm like, what? Like, it was just.
It definitely had some Clone Wars animation vibes to it.
Yeah, some of that
very, very, very cartoony
kitty
vibes to it.
Yeah, so that
which
for me was,
yeah, I'm erring on the side of I'm going to try to stay positive during this episode in terms of, because I've only watched it one time. I like the scene because I definitely thought it was silly. I could see the more serious person going, what in the hell is this scene doing in here? Like, why are you wasting my time?
Yeah.
But then, like, let's think of the movies. All right, what were silly scenes in the movies that didn't really need to be there?
Jar Jar Binks.
How about, okay, so my example was going to be Jar Jar, like, using his tongue to grab, like, flying objects, and Qui-Gon Jinn catching the tongue. Don't do that again. Oh, that they were sitting around the table, stuff like that. Or Jar Jar running into the coupling of the pod racer. And he does that, or whatever, or Jar Jar. I'm just gonna use Jar Jar again. If things happen, hitting the nose droid and kind of being the bull in the china shop.
Yep.
So silliness has always been sort of a part of it.
Yeah.
Like Anakin in Clone War and Attack of the Clones, when he gets run over by the I don't know, whatever beast he's riding on Naboo, and fakes being hurt. Silliness, absolute silliness with that. Luke playing with his little T-16. I was going to get power converters. So, I'm okay. I'm okay with a little bit of silliness, but I do agree that they
Uncle Owen.
Oh, sorry, that was so good.
Oh my gosh, it's the high pitched voice that really gets me. Yeah. They do have to make the turn. Mando for me is a serious show. Book of Boba Fett is not a serious show to me right now, and I don't know if they're doing that on purpose or if I'm just like not. I'm just jaded to it, where I'm just like, all right, whatever. Let's just give me the show, or I'm just out on it. Like I've lost my investment in it and going, it's just fine. It's just fine. But
and that's the thing. Judging by what we've seen from Boba in the movies, you would think it would be a darker, more serious show. That's my assumption.
Yeah.
Now, I pose this question to you two. Is Tamora Morrison just a bad actor and can only do one thing?
Ooh.
Because why can I think of the actor's name? Why can't I think of his
Pedro
name?
Pascal.
Yeah. Because he could do both the goofy and the serious very well. Because he had some goofy things that like he had some goofy and a lot of serious too.
Don't eat that.
Yeah. And he but
they built up they built up
better.
season 1 as a serious he was very serious, and then he his little heart melted by the end because of Grogu. Grogu boo boo. And I agree with you. I actually had a question too. Do we think if this episode was episode 1, would it have helped us understand his identity more?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
I agree.
the Tribes of Tatooine helped me understand who he was, and
Then why the hell are you giving him such a hard time? You son of a gun. You double-crossing son of a gun.
Well, you want to know why I'm giving him such a hard time?
Yes, I do.
I do understand that people can
Yeah.
change. Things can happen. People can change their
Ray Skywalker.
morals. Yes. Their morals can change. Their morals can change as well.
Yeah.
But
it's not Boba. I get it. I know
it's
not what we were expecting at all. In games, in bounty hunter games, you know, thinking of Jango Fett, how awesome he was, even though he hired a person to hire a bug, to hire an alien, to hire a robot to assassinate someone. I get it. No, I totally get that. It's just it's literally doing what Star Wars has been doing since Last Jedi, subverting our expectations to create a new story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still hopeful that things are going to turn around. I think Morrison's capable of doing stunts and things like that, and they could always, when he has the helmet on, just put some guy in like a padded suit to pull off some of that stuff. But
that's true.
I mean, he was like, the only thing I can remember him being in was Aquaman, and in that he just kind of like would binge drink with Aquaman at like a dive bar. And then
he was in Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Oh man, that's a deep cut right there. That's the bus one, right?
And he's not much.
No,
it's the ship.
That's right, ship.
Speed was the bus.
Speed was the bus. Speed 2, they replaced Keanu.
With who?
And he's not much of a major role, even in Moana.
Yeah,
plays the chief. And he's an unchanging chief, by the way. Refuses to change.
He's in Couples Retreat as like a minor background character.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's going to get some sort of Marvel Cinematic Universe role now, because it seems like they like to do that with a lot. I mean, like, you look at Poe, now he's Moon Knight. Maybe they'll do something with Tamora where he's some kind of other character, even just voicing some CGI person. But, I mean...
Indeed.
I think he's capable of doing the stunts. I don't think it's so much age, because look at Fennec's just like all over the place, like doing stuff, and she's very talented. And obviously, like 58's not old, 60's not old, but maybe to move around like that, it could be. But I think we're gonna get some kind of payoff for all of this. At least I really, really hope so.
Yeah. All right. Mike, I'll throw it to you. What else do you have grievances about?
I do not have any more grievances.
Oh, good. We've covered it. Wonderful.
My biggest grievous was Boba overall.
Fair. Okay, cool. I'm glad. Do you feel like we've made our point there?
I feel like our points have been made.
Okay, great. All right, let's cruise on to noticements. And I guess the first topic on noticements I want to pick up and chuck is the fire spray gunship argument. So I've seen listen, it couldn't be more damn obvious, right? What Disney's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the first instance, okay, this may come as a shock because I don't know if you watched this, but the first instance of Slave One being erased from Lego or from Star Wars lore was during the very first LegoCon, which was a online virtual conference that I attended for about an hour and a half, because I knew they were going to sort of debut some new sets for Star Wars, and there's some cool stuff in it. I enjoyed watching it. And the guy brings out this set, and he's like, and here we have, because he's definitely from Denmark, and he's like, oh, and here we have, I don't have a Denmark accent, deal with it. We have Boba Fett's Starship, and it's such a cool set and he's going through the features, and I'm like, Boba Fett's Starship? Why wouldn't they call it, why are they calling it that? And like, right off the bat, and now I'm looking at chat, and they're like, Starship, ? And it's starting to steamroll. And I even tweeted about it, like, same, almost right away, and was like, did Lego make a mistake? Like, is this a mistake? And I thought to myself, it can't be a mistake because it's very obvious what they're trying to do, you know. And then we go back. I'm like, did they run into a Razor Crest issue? Like they did when they lost the patent to that or the trademark to it or whatever in the UK or whatever. And then they eventually got it back. By the way, they bought out the company or whatever it is. They bought them out on the Razor Crest. And now, you know, so the argument surfaced during that, and now we get to the Book of Boba Fett and it's come back, and now it's official because our boy Morrison says, you know, it's a fire spray gunship. Now, somebody made a good argument online. If people name their cars by names, right? This is Bessie or, you know, Earl, Chris the Chevy. I don't know, whatever they make it. I know my wife did. She named her one car Nuke because it was a new used car. Okay.
Love it.
We had the Dragon, which was a fire red Supreme Cutlass XL.
I got the Dark Knight right now.
Which there you go. So you have names. Now, if he would have said to Fennec, hey, I need you to go find Slave One, would they have known? No. You know, would she have known? I don't know. Like, and I kind of agree with the argument. If Mike, if you told me we're in the parking lot of KOP and you say, hey, go find my car, it's the Dark Knight, I'd be like, what kind of car do you have?
Good point.
You know what I mean? Like, so I felt like that's a good point. Now, they did it very obviously, you know, by saying it out loud. So they're making a very, very, very interesting point. And I know it upset people on Twitter. So I just want to know, where do you stand, Damien, with our fire spray gunship? And then Mike, you fill in after that.
I mean, you know, like Slave One, that's always how I'm going to refer to it as. Like, I'm never going to just be like, stop calling it Slave One. It's the fire spray gunship. I prefer Slave One because that's what I grew up with. So I understand why. And it's, you know, because they want to get away from the offensive name of it and things like that. I mean, but he technically would, I mean, enslave carbonite prisoners in there, but they want to get rid of that. So I understand. I mean, I hope he comes up with a new name for it, because obviously the fire starter, like you said, is like the brand or the model or the make, whatever it may be. So, or the fire spray. So I hope he comes up with a new name for it. I understand it. I mean, I don't like it, but I completely understand the reasoning behind it.
Fair. Mike?
I think the way it was worded allows it to keep its name without ever being mentioned again. So he says it's a fire spray gunship. So now they know what kind of ship it is. It's similar to Sean, what you were saying. Like Millennium Falcon is the name of the iconic. It's the name of the ship, but it has to have some sort of like brand model.
It's a YT 1300 Corellian freighter.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. Thank you very much. I have an $800 Lego that told me that.
That's amazing. So I think I don't mind them saying, like, this being the only time him saying my fire spray gunship.
Okay.
And referring to it as that.
Okay.
Because it's still in our minds has the name of Slave One, and it still allows us to keep Slave One as the name of the fire spray gunship. And it's just, this is what we're referring to it this time. You'll probably never hear it again because we'll just be flying in it, and I'll never have to refer to it by name or anything else. And everybody's happy, except because even the ones who are upset that it's not called Slave One anymore, he didn't technically call it the fire spray. It's just my fire spray gunship.
Okay. I'm liking your point, and I appreciate your point, and I love your point. I just had a really sick thought. What?
Good God. If it gets crested?
No. I'm thinking what the fans would have done if Rey renamed the Falcon to something different in the sequel trilogy.
What's the dove? A less offensive
No,
bird.
like I was thinking more like the solo cruiser, for like Han Solo, kind of like commemorating that. Like, would people be okay with that? If the Falcon was redubbed the solo cruiser.
People would
I don't
lose
know.
it if instead of
Oh my
Millennium
gosh.
Falcon, it's like Decade Pigeon or something like that. It's just people would lose.
Oh, the solo port.
Hashtag not my Falcon, not my
I know.
Millennium Cruiser.
Yeah, I think, it all goes back to the age-old argument of old fan versus new fan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like
That's it.
I get it because we grew up like we're kind of in the middle. Like we were all we grew up with the original films, then we had the prequels, and then obviously the new trilogy. But I do think that some of the old school fans are kind of a little stuck in the way that they think about Star Wars, and they're not open to any kind of change. It has to be how it was back then. Anything they do now is going to just completely, eradicate how they feel or their love for the previous movies and things like that. So I mean, Sean, you and I know people that are very hardcore like that in some of the Star Wars groups we're in, and like it's okay. Like everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm always open to change. So like for them to get rid of calling it Slave One, like you said, Mike, it is a pretty smart way to write that in there because that's just the class of the ship, and he doesn't have to be like, "Where's my Slave One?" He could just say, "Where's my fire spray gunship?" And that makes total sense to me. And I get it. I understand people are going to be pissed about it, but to me, it makes sense, and it's a nice way to kind of get rid of that old name, but not really get rid of that old name because he's not renaming it.
Okay, good stuff. Let me throw it. I do not have many more noticements because I've either talked about them in passing or not. So, any excuse me, special noticements, Damien? Thank you for your hand raise. Go for it.
So I noticed a major continuity error when they were in the cockpit of the fire spray gunship. So Fennec puts her seatbelt on, and this side right here, the side that's closest to Boba, is twisted. Then they cut to a shot of both of them. It's straight. Then they cut back to a shot of her talking to Boba. It's twisted. Cut back to a shot of both of them. It's straight. And it happened.
That's always tough.
It was like four times. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like, how did you not notice? It was the littlest thing. They just had to untwist it. And once you notice it, you can't you just fixate on it. I fixated on it. I was counting how many times twisted, untwisted. So I noticed.
I remember during The Walking Dead when Glenn was, I think they were in the city, Atlanta, and he was up against a fence and he had a helmet on, like a riot shield helmet, and the shield kept going up and down in between cuts.
That's bad.
Like it was bad. And I'm like, oh, this show's terrible, but I love it. Okay, cool. Nice continuity catch. Continuity catch. Mike, can I throw it to you, Mike? Do you have something ready for a noticement?
I have a couple random little one-off things.
All right.
I did notice the from the Return of the Jedi, you'll learn some respect droid.
Yes. In the kitchen.
Yes.
Did he get demoted?
I guess so, yeah, and that's why he's taking out on the poor frogs that he's trying to cook up.
Or promoted, because I mean he's torturing droids and now he's in the kitchen.
But he's like the head
order of droids in Jabba's palace.
He's like head droid torturer, though.
Do we think that the voice actor is the same?
Ooh,
I was reading.
I don't know.
I
don't know if I got it
because I recognized the voice was recognizable. Because that's where my mind went.
I was reading something. I think it was about this where the voice actor passed away in 1987. I think it was actually the director of Return of the Jedi.
Oh wow! Good
poll. Let me do a quick.
That's okay. No worries.
Fact check there.
So while you're doing that, I'll go through just my random little cool noticings, or not cool, just random stuff.
It's all cool, man.
It's all cool. Are black melons either drugs or Brondo from Idiocracy? Because you'll start to crave it.
That's interesting.
I had thought it was just straight up water at first until he had that little bit of dialogue with it, and she's like, "Ugh." He's like, "You'll learn to want it." I'm like, "What?"
You'll learn to crave it.
And is it a milk or is it a water?
Is it like Vita Coco?
coconut?
Yeah,
Is
is
it
it
kind of like that?
that's like Vita Coco?
I don't like how it poofs.
Yeah, that's weird.
The poofing for me is what gets me because I don't think anything should be that dry and moist at the same time.
Mhm.
And I don't like the sentence that I just said. So, podcasting world, I hope you enjoyed it.
Dry and moist simultaneously.
It was the director of Return of the Jedi, Richard Marquand.
Wow.
So he voiced him.
Wow.
He cameoed as a couple other things too in Return of the Jedi. I think like one of the Imperial guys. But,
Yeah, they had a low budget during that film.
oh yeah, but yeah, he did pass away unfortunately in 1987. But I guess what they did was maybe I mean, that's an easy voice to kind of mimic in a sound studio or sound booth. So like,
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
but it was still cool, and I definitely noticed that.
Absolutely.
As well. That was really
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for noticing. Anything else? All right, Dames, fire away. Keep going, my friend. Yes.
I love how much Rebo we are getting in this show.
Yo.
Yeah.
Hit it, Rebo.
No,
Like,
she said,
Hit
spin
it,
it up.
Max.
Spin it up, Max. He's on first name basis, the boy on Maxie.
It's like Casablanca. Play it again, Sam.
he's just having a good old time tickling the ivories in this fancy casino.
I hate
can't
that
wait for
song
them
in
to-
Return of the
to Tell us
Jedi.
it was like Favreau behind the costume or something like
Oh,
somebody that
man.
some kind of deep cut random actor that everybody knows. Like, oh yeah, this guy was Max Rebo, and that's why we featured
Taika
him so much.
Waititi.
But yeah, so much Rebo. I appreciate that because like he's one of those weird, obscure alien characters that
Yeah.
just people
good.
gravitate towards because of his unique look, and we're just getting so much of him. So just give me a Disney Plus show of Rebo like going on a tour across the galaxy.
I'm in.
Rebo and Big Hero 6
Rebo's
toward the galaxy.
Rebo's holiday special.
Rebo Nation.
Rebo and Michael Bublé.
When you were Rebo, the musical festival.
Rebo McIntyre.
Max
Best of both worlds.
Max Rebo Man,
man.
taking back your music.
Yeah, I love Rebo.
I can tell our listenership has decreased exponentially.
I mean,
as
if they
this
like Max
episode has
Rebo,
gone
which
on.
everyone does, it should just be going through the roof at this point.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. Mikey?
I am good.
Okay, cool. Everybody, all right, noticements have been completed. So that moves on to our ender, well, the beginning of the end, which is our one sentence summary, which I wrote something down that's more of a hot take one sentence summary.
Okay.
And I'm sure your two are probably better than mine. So here's my hot take one sentence summary. Just like Boba, this episode has fully healed the series.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I mean, I agree with it. It's accurate to me.
Okay. Mike?
So I wrote this before our conversation about fire spray.
Okay.
And I wrote this in the key of Regina George from Mean Girls, directed towards someone. Kathleen, stop trying to make fire spray happen. It's never going to happen.
There's a lot of venom in that sentence. A lot of venom. All right, Dames.
All right, so mine's a song, very popular song that was in Silence of the Lambs, in a very infamous scene from that. Famous scene from that.
Infamous?
Famous. It's very famous. Here we go. Goodbye, Bantha. Make some babies soon. Goodbye, Bantha. I'm freeing you. There you go.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
That was
It's
touching.
beautiful.
I like the Bantha was.
Listen,
like,
I love the
animal.
animal play in the show, and the animal play in animated series, in
Please
Resistance,
rephrase that animal play.
the unmolested animal play in
Immediately thought
in
of
this show has been very consistent between Queel and the blurgs, the weird blurgs, right, and the banthas, which we just saw as giant, elephants. and whatever have been good. It's been consistent, and we know Filoni's a creature guy.
Mhm.
He's a super duper creature guy, and he loves the creature. And it's good. It's good stuff for me. So thank you for this one sentence summary. All right, it's time for our Boba Fett vocabulary quiz. This time I don't have anything prepared, but I know Mike does.
All right. This was spoken by Fennec, actually.
Ooh.
And I forget who it was geared towards, but she was going to have someone singing like a Yuzum.
And you thought animal play was bad. Singing like a Yuzum! Excellent. Add it to the glossary. Was that it? Was that the only line?
That's the only one I caught.
The only one you caught. I feel like Boba had a line during the rectangle table discussion, but I can't quite pick up on it, and I don't remember. But I do like the Yuzum. I don't like that sentence either. We're gonna move on. Okay, so next episode predictions. We move into chapter 5, 6, 7, final 3. There's a good chance we may get a 2-episode arc here with a finale, or we get a sort of build-up episode with a 2-part finale. I have 2 things to discuss. One addressing the pacing of this show, and one addressing chapter 5. So I'll start with the pacing of the show. I think they are taking their time getting the story going because they are afraid to get closer to the sequel trilogy. And they haven't quite figured it out. And they don't know what to do because they can't retcon. So they are really trying to pace this slow so they can figure out a game plan on how to make it all work. But I do think down the line, years down the line, they're going to remake the sequel trilogy. But it's going to kind of be terrible because they don't have the original actors, or they'll only have one in Mark Hamill.
Wow.
So I do believe that that's probably going to happen. Pure Pressure will eventually win out, and they'll remake them down the line. And then my chapter 5 is, it just says, and Dames, you're going to be loving this, Bounty Hunters Unite. We're going to get all sorts of different bounty hunters in the next episode, and I can't wait. So, Dames, I'll throw it to you.
So, a couple things I think that will happen. As always, Dengar, and I think with credits comes bounty hunters. Like I am just willing, like trying to speak this into existence. Want to see Dengar. He's gonna need a lot of people. Like the Pikes are huge. Yeah. He's gonna need a lot of people. Yeah. He did drop a line that was the same exact line that Cobb Vanth said in Mandalorian. So, and we did hear that song, the Mandalorian theme. So I think we're going to get Cobb Vanth showing up in this. And I also think that the Pikes were the ones who took out the Tuskens, but they framed the Nikto gang. Because the Pikes knew who the Tuskens were. Obviously, I don't know, but I'm sure they're obviously aware of the Nikto gang because of the gang signs everywhere. But I think for me, that would make sense, and that's just more motivation when that reveal comes for Boba to maybe like crack some skulls and like just really unleash on them.
Damn, that's plausible, and I like it.
But also Dengar.
But mostly
Most importantly,
Dengar.
Number 1, Dengar.
He's just gonna come in like walking at a leisurely elderly man's pace. Just take one
hey guys.
10 seconds, but it'll be epic.
It sure is hot in his head wrap.
Welcome to the party, pal.
All right, Mike, what do you got in the chamber?
I think that episode 5 will be, or chapter 5 will be a split episode, essentially. I believe that Fennec, it'll be, I think the Mando music at the end is a red herring. I don't think it's going to lead to Mando. I think it's going to lead Fennec to Grief. And I think there will be that's where your bounty hunters unite will come into play. I think possibly the night owls come into play, not Mando himself.
Interesting.
And so Fennec will go to grief. There'll be some bounty hunters there. Maybe the night owls come into play. Boba will start rounding up the Tuskens, and that's where Cobb would come into play.
What if Grief says,
Maybe
Fennec, do your magic
maybe
ab
one.
Do you think Fennec has to have her oil changed every 7,000 miles?
I'm just curious how the eating and drinking of stuff works now.
Ooh.
Like
that sure is curious.
Because like her whole torso, like her whole lower torso is just mechanics.
Did you not see the pistons? They just
did
mash up the food
terrible
and push it out her pooper.
Animal play still in play here. Okay. I love the line from the mod squad saying, "Why would we cover this up?"
Oh yeah, he was like super proud of that.
I love it. That was cool. That was real cool. It literally reminded me of how it's made.
It was kind of like a
Fennec Shand. It
kind of reminded me too, like Luke at first like covered up his hand, but then like the last time we saw him, he just like Terminator 2 style,
true.
like just letting it hang out. So maybe just like I guess like embracing like the message, embracing what you are.
But his droid hand was made by droid, not by person.
That is true.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, he didn't hang out with the mod squad dubsteppers on Tatooine.
Tatooine. I'm blue. Daba. Okay. Thank you for your predictions. I think all plausible, and I think the story. I don't know if our chapter 5 predictions from the prequel episode we did match up to where we're at right now.
God, no.
I don't think so, right? I mean, we didn't really. I don't think we've been accurate at all.
No.
Nope.
So
I don't even want to listen.
And I think that just goes along the lines of the low expectations that we have been served in this show. But okay. Comments from the net. Dames, I'll start with you.
All right, let me pull mine up here real quick.
Please prepare your comments from the net.
So,
we're going to do that segment next.
Okay. So there was a really funny one on Twitter, and it's of the surgeon guy. And there is some adult language in this, but it said
fire away.
Hashtag Book of Boba Fett. I'm Rick James, bitch. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. It's just dying. Like it seems so out of place. Like it was just very weird. Like it was a cool scene, but it was just like a weird scene. It's one of those like this is just what we have to accept going forward with Star Wars. It's where we're going. But it cracked me up because like now I think that he's Rick James. He's Star Wars Rick James.
I believe he is a rapper.
He's
by the name of
musician, right?
Thundercat.
Okay, I'm not familiar at all.
Neither am I.
Thundercat, ho! Mine's a positive one from the tweeter yesterday. The Book of Boba Fett episode 4 blew my Star Wars fan mind. I'm almost speechless that it gave us the insanity it did. Plus lots of awesome droids, great character building, nice canon linking. It even made me like the special editions a bit more. And that final tease, so good.
Okay.
It's kind of how I felt about the episode too. So this guy put it into the words that I can express.
Tweet by Mr. Extra Techie.
Please follow me at Extra Techie. It's actually just me.
It's me. I'm the tweeter.
No, this is a verified tweeter account.
Wow.
It's got the white check.
Okay.
White check.
All right.
Mikey.
I found this with the hashtag Book of Boba Fett, and I thought it was hilarious. I can't pronounce the Wookiee's name, so here's a picture of a black croissant.
Can we see the picture? Where's the picture? Because I need to see that.
It's just like a burnt croissant.
Please,
the French version of him.
Please tag
Black croissant.
ASWPOV in that and go check that out on the Twitter, and you'll laugh as hard as we did.
And honestly, if you say it fast enough, it's
God,
like it sounds like it if you say it fast enough.
That's
Black
so
croissant.
funny. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's so funny. I love that. Okay. Before we end our episode, as always, since I remember every single episode, Mike will present his OnlyFans account this week.
All right, so guys, you can find me on OnlyFans, the Mandahorian.
Very good. Very good. And that's a great callback because we're definitely feeling those Mando vibes coming on in. Gentlemen, we've reached the end of chapter 4. Mike, thank you. Damien, thank you. Make sure you check out the Red 5 Network at Red 5 Network over on Twitter and Instaspam and we're not on Facebook and all that good stuff. We actually have a new member to the Red 5 Network, and if I pull that up real quick, that new member is After the Weekend, which appears to be some sort of just nerdy, geeky, young YouTube channel. Movie reviews is the thing, so After the Weekend, we're shouting you out. Make sure you go and subscribe to them on the YouTubes. I just did myself, and they now have 49 subscribers, and we'll try to build them up. As always, make sure you like and subscribe to Casa de Dupree. Where are you at in the numbers now? I'm sure you know.
270s, somewhere in the 270s.
Jeez, Louise, that's awesome. Over in my world, we've got 22 on the ASW account, 7 on the drone account, 313 on the main account, and 89 on the Lego account. Big shout out to the Tumblr for getting me about 58 during that experience.
Crazy.
So we got to
It's awesome.
Get on that a little bit more. And unfortunately, coming soon, I am predicting a name change on the podcast. It's coming. Just be ready for it. So it's going to be the same content, new name. Coming soon, name reveal a little bit later down the line. And since Disney loves renaming things, we're just going to rename the podcast one more time. It's going to be named The Fire Spray. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the other side.